Welcome to the rant room.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Rant Room. I am your host, Mike Starks. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned into the greatest rant show in all of the multiverse. Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned into the greatest rant show in the entire multiverse, ladies and gentlemen.
In the entire multiverse.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a full show for you guys, ladies and gentlemen. Plenty of stuff to rant about. A lot of shit going on out there, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into it.
A woman saw this sticker on the front window of women's clothing store Rare Trends in East Austin, reading exclusively for white people, maximum of 5 colored customers. There's also a city logo and above it, sponsored by the City of Austin Contemporary Partition and Restoration. Caroline Gray is the director of sales and marketing for the store. She came in Wednesday expecting an average day, not knowing what was on the store's front window.
Come in from the side and in through the front door, off to the left, so I don't see the front of the sign when I come in the door.
That was until the phone started ringing.
And she said, I just walked by your store and in the window that says you only allow white people to shop. And I was like, what?
Gray walked outside and saw it for herself. Austin police came to the store to investigate. It turns out Rare Trends is not the only business hit by vandals with the sticker. It was also put on Windmill Bicycles and El Chiquito Restaurant on Manor Road. The city's code enforcement officers will be looking for other stickers and the person or people posting them.
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, in East Austin, the video shows malls. It also shows various different stores and things like that. Somebody has been out there putting up stickers that say, whites only. It also says on their subtitle, it is sponsored by the City of Austin Contemporary Partition Restoration. It says a maximum of 5 colored people. And this is always in response to y'all president talking about we're going to bring back segregation and everything else. These stickers are actually quite big. So they're saying this was done by vandals or whoever else, but whoever was doing it must have been white because everybody looked the other way. Because obviously if a black person or anybody else was putting these big giant stickers. Now keep in mind, these stickers are about the size of your hand, an adult's hand. These are very big stickers. These are not small stickers that you could just walk by and not notice. These are very large stickers. These hand-sized stickers are in the windows of different stores, not just this one, but other stores.
Some big
the video also shows in the mall and everything else. So somebody's going by putting these stickers in the mall where people can see them. This is not off in the corner somewhere.
Somebody white.
In the windows where you can actually see it when you're walking into these businesses. And apparently somebody called them out on it and said, hey, look, you got a sticker that says, whites only and, maximum 5 colored people in here and everything else. An official city logo with, the words, sponsored by the Austin Contemporary Partition Restoration. Sounds very authoritative. And my thing is, instead of y'all calling this a prank, instead of y'all saying it's vandalism, whatever else, because apparently this has been going on, y'all kind of overlooked it and everything else. This isn't the only report of cities like this one. This one is in East Austin, but it's also been in other cities. I've seen other videos of this where people are putting up, these little tiny sticker signs saying it's vandalism. If y'all going to go ahead and do it, do it. Go put up the signs. Are we doing stickers this time? It was signs last time, but are we doing stickers this time where it says whites only, whatever else? Just put up the signs. We already seen black people's reaction to them possibly bringing back segregation or whatever it may be. Just put up the signs. You know what I'm saying? Don't walk past that sign, these big giant hand-sized signs that says whites only and everything else. And every once in a while, somebody might be like, oh, when you get called out and be like, hey, do you know there's a sign or a sticker in your door that says whites only and everything else? Just put up the signs. Just say this is a whites only establishment that you're going with this whole segregation thing or whatever else. But I guarantee you, if these vandals y'all are accusing of putting these stickers and signs that nobody's seen, they're launching a whole investigation to find out who's putting up these stickers or whatever else. Right. Had it been somebody with some melanin putting stickers up in the windows or whatever else, y'all would have easily found this person. Guarantee you this is somebody white. Somebody white walked up, put these stickers in the window, whatever else, and everybody's like, well, they don't see them. I just want to know, like, at this time around, are we doing stickers? Are we doing banners? Are we doing whatever? I just want to know, what are we doing? These aren't small stickers. These are not something anybody can walk by and
Some
not
big
know.
ass
These
stickers.
are big hand-sized stickers, and they do look official. They look very official. You know, it has the subtext of an official, authoritative body. It looks very official. You're putting up stickers in the windows or whatever else. Of course, it would be in Austin, Texas, Austin. And, you know what I'm saying, one of those areas that we're seeing this happen and everything else. If you're going to put the signs up, just put the fucking signs up. I guarantee this is not going to be the first time this happens. It's going to be signs or something put up to let you know, hey, this is a white-only establishment or whatever else. And we go, oh, we didn't know how that got up there. We need to find the vandals who put that shit up there. And
You
all
know
that
damn
shit like
well.
that. Okay, cool, whatever. Because in black neighborhoods, we have not mysteriously had no black-only signs put up in the middle. We don't know how that got there. And nobody else for that matter. Nobody else is reporting that there has been some sort of Latinos only or whatever signs being put up in their businesses or whatever else. None of that shit. The shit sounds mad suspicious and everything else, and I think we ought to just be fucking for real. Like, y'all got a city logo on there.
Like,
and,
be fucking for
you know
real.
what I'm saying? All that type of shit going on. The shit like a damn seal from an actual authoritative body. It's just great. I mean, a lot of us just want to go through it. We just really want y'all to finally finalize it and just be fucking for real. Y'all gonna have certain businesses or whatever else that are just for whites only, or y'all are minimizing the amount of, you know, black people who can be in your establishments or whatever else. Put the signs up. Put the fucking signs up. Stop saying that vandals and people came and put the shit
damn
up here.
signs up.
Small, inconspicuous looking. These are not obvious, like somebody printed the shit up at home and just kind of like made some random ass looking stickers up. The shit looks official. It looks like some sort of authoritative body put this up here or whatever. The shit looks official. Go Google the video, go look it up. Y'all can see that these stickers on there definitely indeed say, you know what I'm saying, authorized by the city of Austin, contemporary partition restoration. You know what I'm saying? City logo, everything on there. Whites only. Like, black people, all the rest of us, we ain't playing. Y'all don't put the signs up, You know, the video, the shots of the stickers in the window, somebody took a hand-sized sticker and carefully put it up there. Y'all telling me that all these places that got hit by these whites-only stickers, nobody noticed any of this shit.
Nobody?
Right now, in the Midwest, you couldn't go to a fucking mall and start putting up stickers in the windows without somebody noticing. You couldn't go to some sort of business and notice somebody putting up a hand-sized sticker in your window without somebody noticing.
Exactly.
Somebody knew that shit. Somebody noticed it. You know, what it says, what it speaks volumes to, people look the other way. Only one person noticed it. Now they're going to launch a little fake ass investigation, going to find out what vandals put the shit up there, whatever. All right, cool, whatever. But hey, more shit to rant about.
Have babies that you don't want. Don't have babies that men are telling you in front of your face that they do not want. I wish them would stop doing that. Like, it's like a plan to.
Why don't they just stop having sex with people they don't want to have a child with?
That too. To me, it's always pro-choice, your body, your life, because that baby is gonna be a baby.
It's a baby.
Yeah, and you're gonna have that baby forever. So yeah.
Well, do you know that Planned Parenthood gets nearly $700 million of our taxpayer money every year?
$700 million. I mean, honestly, I can't go against Planned Parenthood. I just can't. $700 million for how many single mothers?
Of our money. But they're not giving it to single mothers, though.
Yeah. I mean, if we're gonna just, single out where it is that our tax dollars go, then the police, respectfully.
So they used to have this slogan where they said safe, legal, and rare. That's what we want. Safe, legal, and rare abortions, until it was exposed that a lot of these facilities were requiring abortion quotas. So the more abortions each facility did, the more praise that they would get. They would get awards. And so it's really interesting. That doesn't really make it seem like they want safe, legal, and rare abortions.
Mm-hmm. How many people can you think, or are you going to assume, will literally abandon their children with no repercussions from the state?
No, it's called safe haven baby boxes, where at a fire station or hospital, you can leave your baby and the mother doesn't have to do anything with it. But that's better than killing her baby through abortion, right?
No, ma'am.
It's not better to give your baby up to a family who wants them instead of killing them?
No, ma'am. I have seen so many stories and countless, literally, countless stories.
What happens in an abortion?
They literally suck the life terrified of you. They're going to take the whole baby out. And as they should, because I shouldn't be a taxpayer paying child support and food stamps and WIC for
You should be a taxpayer paying for abortion?
Exactly. But as for a woman who didn't want the baby in the first place, that doesn't make sense to me. Don't ever sit here and lock yourself down with a man who already told you he doesn't want to be with you. I
agree with you.
I'm not disagreeing with you either. I understand.
You don't get to kill the baby just because their dad didn't want them.
Can.
Should we kill the kids in foster care?
Why not? Why not? If that's the case,
we should kill the kids in foster care that aren't wanted.
Who's going to take care of them? I need to know the percentage of people who take children from foster care and abuse them and molest them, who make them like personal slaves.
We should just kill them.
Statistics before you come to me talking about pro-life.
We should kill the victims of molestation.
I think, what does this have to do with molestation?
You just mentioned people molesting children. We should kill the kids in foster care is what you said.
What I'm saying is in general, overall. If I don't want to have a baby, I should have the choice to.
Just don't have sex then. Just don't have sex.
That's not even logical.
It is.
It is. Who are you, nasty?
I sound dumb.
You dumb as
okay.
It does, because even as teens, people explore. And it's like, as funny as you want to be, people should still have the choice.
So you went from saying that my outfit was really cute to saying I'm an effing idiot. That's so mean.
But I think that your point of view is very obstructed, and I think that you just don't understand the magnitude of having a child.
Yeah, well, I'm not the one who admitted they would be okay with killing babies in foster care and killing children that have been abused.
That's not the point. What I'm saying.
That's really.
What's wrong with you? You have a... She attacked my wife.
Your wife is attacking. Why is it following me? Why you following me?
I'm gonna get arrested. Don't worry.
She just punched me in the face. We were just doing a street interview with my camera, and everything was fine for over 20 minutes or however long we were filming, and then she just punched me in the face.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Blue Dress Girl was conducting a street interview about like pro-life versus pro-choice or whatever else. She's in like the heart of New York. She's in the Bronx. She ends up talking to this woman, which we're going to refer to as Bronx, New York girl, and they're having this, as you can hear from this entire interview. They're just talking the difference between, people's views on, pro-life, pro-choice, having sex, having kids and everything else, and abortion. As you can see, it started off pretty simple. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Of course, they're going to be differing on opinions and shit like that, but then the shit went left real quick. And a lot of people who have been talking about this online and everything else, a lot of them are taking this out of context, which is the reason why I played the entire interview right here. However long they were talking, close to 5 minutes or whatever else. Well, it was okay, but Blue Dress Girl, she's out there in the heart of New York talking to this woman or whatever else, and of course she is basically rage baiting. You know what I'm saying? She's probably used to being online or whatever else behind the camera or, whatever it may be, talking to people about her opinions or whatever else. And as you can see, she was not trying to talk towards clarity and understanding and everything else. She went into this whole thing about how like, oh, you're totally okay with like murdering kids or whatever else. I personally think she should have talked to her to get clarity on what she meant by certain things, whatever else, instead of just jumping to this whole thing of like not respecting people's opinions or whatever else, because people have their rights to their opinions about stuff. Because as you can see, Bronx, New York girl was saying, hey, people are still going to have sex or whatever else. People should have the choice whether they can live with having an abortion or having a child. And she's talking about the how dropping your child off or putting them into foster care or in the system and things like that. Somebody's got to pay for that child. Somebody's got to be responsible for that child. And you're saying it's simply not fair that society has to deal with that. And I agree. Society shouldn't have to deal with that. And, this could have been a very civil discourse. Y'all could have talked about this. But of course, a lot of people who are what I would assume from Blue Dress Girl being a far right type of person who feels like nothing she says is going to change her opinion and everything else, because she does say at some point during the interview that, hey, I agree with this point or whatever else. And the girl who is Bronx, New York girl, she said, I agree with some things that you said or whatever else. It could have stayed that way, but we all know that, a person being a pro-choice or pro-choice person, she was not going to keep this civil. You know what I'm saying? She took something that you said, and instead of trying to get clarity and understanding about what's going on about this, or just accepting your answer, this is how you feel about this or whatever else, that people shouldn't be having children. People should have the choice whether they want to go ahead and, have an abortion or not, or whatever else. And it's accepting that answer. It became like, oh, well, you agree with like murdering children in daycares and things like that, and all type of stuff. There have been people who've been talking about this online, who have been saying that, okay, they don't support violence, and they don't think that people should go ahead and punch people in the face regardless of what they say or what they accuse you of. And I absolutely disagree with that.
I do.
I believe if you stop anybody on the street, or you're interviewing, talking to people, whatever else, like, you should definitely watch them out, because what you say and what you accuse people of, or whatever else, like, people will swing on you. They will put hands on you. And I personally think that Blue Dress Girl got exactly what she deserved. Because it's like, what did you fucking expect? They're in New York asking people shit, talking to people about shit, and everything did go civil for a while, but then you're basically rage baiting people. You're not trying to get clarity or understanding. You're not trying to just accept a person's answer when you're interviewing somebody. You're just going to keep going until you piss off a person, and then you expect not to get socked. Because woman hit her in the face twice and walked the fuck off. Said, you pissed me off. Like, of course, this girl is going to play victim, like she don't absolutely have any idea why this person punched her in the face. She don't understand why everything went from civil to, getting socked in the fucking face and shit like that. Of course, you're going to act like you don't understand that, but you went out there with the intent to do that. And people who are pro-choice, people who are just people who do stuff like that. You will have people who are Christian nationalists do the same thing. They will come out there and talk to people, well, why you don't believe in God, or why you believe in your religion instead of their religion. They will just rage bait you, piss you off. People will do all sorts of things and then wonder why they get pissed, why they get punched in the fucking face and shit like that. People do pranks that go too far, where people get beat the fuck up or whatever else. Like, stop doing that shit. The shit you're able to get away with online is the reason, the stuff that you're able to get away with online, you can't get away with in these streets. Like, this is reality. What you're dealing with online in the comment section, talking shit to people behind the screen or whatever else, or when you go live and do your shows, it's not the same shit as real life. Like, in reality or whatever, you can't walk up to people and just talk any crazy way you want to and not expect somebody to go the fuck off on you. Yes, because this woman could have cussed the fuck out, or she could have just been straight to hands like she just did, or any number of things could have fucking happened, because you're in the real world dealing with real people. And I think she got exactly what she deserved. But there are a lot of people out there who are so used to just talking crazy to people, and they have not got their fucking button pushed. They have not gotten socked. They have not gotten their shit kicked in because they feel real comfortable out there talking crazy to people, because maybe you've been sheltered or shielded or whatever else, or maybe you've never had anybody actually go off on you. Maybe you were used to being online this day and age and talking crazy to people, and you took it to the streets in the real world, especially in the heart of New York, in the Bronx, New York. And now you're going to be playing the victim, like, I don't know why she hit me. She hit me out of nowhere. Everything was going so great or whatever else. But when you listen to this interview in full context, I know some people have been talking about this interview and they got straight to the point where the woman socked her in the face. When you listen to it in its entirety and everything was going okay, as long as Blue Dress Girl was being respectful and standing and trying to get clarity and everything like that. But once you start pissing people off and saying stupid shit and rage baiting people into stuff or whatever else, you get socked in your fucking face. Now, I do want to say this about people like Blue Dress Girl. And these people got names, but it doesn't matter. What they did matters. What this interview was about and how they reacted and doing what matters. I will say this. There are a lot of people, and I don't want to go in an episode without talking shit about y'all president. So I'm going to say this. There are people out there who you could tell have never got punched in their shit. And so they're so comfortable with just talking crazy to people and everything else. They're either shielded behind the money or behind who you are. People, or they feel comfortable, talking shit from a distance, whatever it may be. You could tell they never got socked in their shit. Otherwise, they wash their mouth and stop acting that way. And that's the same way I feel about this presidency. You have a president and a vice president who feel real comfortable talking shit because they never got punched in their shit. Because if they did, they washed their fucking mouth. Because we all watched that interview where the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, I believe his name is, that interview where, the president and the vice president are talking shit to this guy. And, the president Zelensky, he showed up, he was in regular clothes, whatever else, his country's at war. He's not in a suit. And, you got the president and the vice president being a bunch of fucking idiots that they are, whatever else, trying to talk tough and shit because they're on cameras, they're in front of people. You're in our country and shit like that. You could tell that y'all president and y'all vice president are two people who never got socked in their shit from running their mouth. Because if they were, they wouldn't talk like that.
Exactly.
A couple of bitches. And that's the kind of interview that I really wish that kind of shit had to happen with the interview with President Zelensky. Maybe he should have just hauled off and socked the shit out of the fucking president. Maybe he'll learn to watch his fucking mouth and stop acting tough.
Just slap that shit out of him.
His sissy ass vice president. Maybe that's what he should have fucking did. because he's so used to just talking slick to people and saying just the wildest crazy shit to people or whatever else, because you never get socked in your shit. And you probably do need that. You need somebody to bust you in your fucking mouth. Maybe you'll stop acting like that. You'll stop talking like that. And that's what y'all president is used to. That's what y'all vice president is used to. You can always tell people who ain't never been in no fight, who ain't never been about their life or whatever else, because they talk crazy to anybody. And they're always protected or shielded behind something, or they're just lucky enough to get away from a situation where somebody can go the fuck off on whatever. They feel comfortable being in front of cameras, in front of people, whatever else. We've all seen these people at your job too. They feel comfortable being at your job. You know what I'm saying? Maybe they have a position over you. Maybe they feel like they're here. They got witnesses. They got cameras or whatever it may be. And they will get slick at the mouth in a way that they wouldn't do if they were in a parking lot somewhere after the job, or they were away from your fucking job. They wouldn't talk crazy to you like that, but they feel like they're in a position to talk to you like that. So this woman, blue dress girl, who was interviewing Bronx, New York girl or whatever, she probably figured, hey, we're in the middle of Bronx, New York, all these people around. I got a camera rolling, everything else. I could just talk this crazy shit or whatever else. I could just rage, basically piss you off, you know what I'm saying, accuse you of this and that or whatever else, and nothing to happen to me. And as soon as she got socked, she played victim.
Oh, something's gonna happen to you.
So I don't feel sorry for her. I feel like she got exactly what she deserved. Get knocked the fuck out or whatever else. Maybe she'll learn. Maybe this is the first time she ever got punched in her fucking mouth or whatever else, and hopefully she will learn to stop talking crazy to people. Or maybe she'll take whatever her spiel is and take that shit to the fucking internet, or take it back to the fucking internet, wherever she was fucking doing the shit before she got out on the streets or whatever else. Maybe she go back to doing lies. Maybe she'll go back to the comment sections of talking shit to people, whatever else. But going to anywhere, especially the Bronx, New York, and just finding some random person talking to them about your beliefs and against somebody else's beliefs or whatever else, like, be respectful. And you know what I'm saying, that, you know, because you are in real life, you're around real people. And I think she forgot where she was at, who she was talking to. You know what I'm saying? Like, you a foot away from somebody who would knock your shit in, and you thought, hey, I'm just gonna say whatever. And I really do think that should happen with a lot of people who just, we should bring that back. We should definitely bring that back, especially with our president, because I don't think he would have got this far if he was the type of person where he talks slick and he run his mouth and somebody knocked his shit in. Same thing with our vice president, who right now he's somewhere. He was quoted as calling China a bunch of peasants and everything else. You wouldn't go to China and talk to Chinese people and call them peasants.
Hell no, because you're a bitch.
You're talking tough because you're on a podium here in the United States, away from people that you're talking shit about and running your mouth about. You wouldn't go there or be around Chinese citizens and talk that type of shit. And I don't like bitch ass niggas like that anyways. I don't like people who you feel like when you're on a podium, you behind a microphone, you by your security or whatever it may be, you want to talk tough and shit like that. There's always somebody out there like that, because you got a bunch of security guards or because you are roped off in some sort of area, you feel like you tough because you hide behind something or whatever else. You're really about that. Go to that person and say that shit to their face and accept what the fuck happens to you. Don't play victim, get your shit knocked in. Because what Blue Dress Girl did is what a lot of bitch ass niggas do. If you feel like you safe because you're around cameras or you're in front of people or whatever it may be, somebody standing in front of you holding you back, whatever. Not this time. You got exactly what you had coming to you.
Bro, please stop making kids if you know you can't afford them or do shit for them. It'd be too many people out here just making babies just to say that they had a child. Like, you just out here doing it like it's an accessory. No, that is a newborn child that is depending on you for the rest of their life. Because fuck that whole, I only got to do it till they 18 bullshit. No, bitch. If you're a real fucking parent, you're going to be there until death do you part, no matter the age. But people are out here just having babies, like, because like you looking at the cute aspect of, you feel me, the benefits of having a child. Motherfuckers ain't thinking about that shit as a whole. That is a full life commitment. Ain't no going back once the shit is already done. And please make better choices in the people y'all are having these kids with, because y'all weaponize these kids against the fathers, against the mothers, and y'all just literally crippling this child before it even has a chance to live life. You knew this man wasn't gonna be shit of a baby daddy as soon as before you even laid down to have his kids, and you knew she wasn't shit before you let her have your child, bro. Stop fucking making them, please. Damn.
Facts, ladies and gentlemen, all facts. Stop making a bunch of kids that you don't care about, you don't want them, all the type of shit like that. Like, I really don't understand how people are out here. Y'all basically financing a child for 19 plus years of your life. Like, I've done numerous shows where I talked about how people have kids and y'all really don't want them. Y'all just having kids and y'all, for some reason,
you know you don't want them kids.
Can't keep it into your pants. Can't just have some sort of level of self-control and be like, I'm not going to have kids with people I'm obviously not going to be married to and committed to and in relationships and shit. Like, I really don't understand that shit. And so, yeah, number one, in society, you can't really afford to have kids right now anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, two of the first shows that I ever made when I was doing podcasting, and you can go back and listen to these shows. I made a show called Oops Babies and a show called 3 Things I Cannot Do. 3 Things I Can Do Without. a show called Oops Babies and a show called 3 Things I Could Do Without. And those 2 shows were basically, one of the shows is about a woman who had 3 kids who basically dumped her kids off on her mother and said, hey, look, my new man, he don't like kids or whatever else. I'm tired of being a single mother of 3 kids or whatever else. I'm out. I'm going to leave these kids with you. They're your responsibility now. I'm out. And so I talked about the reasons why women abandon their kids or why they feel like they're stuck with kids and kids end up going through abuse and everything else. The second show, where I talked about Oops Babies, I talked about the men. I talked about how the reasons why men abandon their kids and shit that men have to go through with their crazy ass baby mamas. Reasons why men make, bad decisions of constantly fucking with this one or that woman, having a bunch of kids that you're not going to take care of and that you're not serious about parenting and everything else. I have said time and time again throughout the many numerous podcasts that I have made before that my stance on this has always been masturbation and self-sterilization. That we need to really promote those 2 things. Because none of us are having planned pregnancies. All of us, I could probably say at this point, all of us are pretty much Oops Babies. At some point, you got pregnant, your parents got pregnant, and they just had you. They did not plan for you to be here. You were not somebody's love child and everything else. A lot of y'all,
none of that
probably,
shit.
some of y'all may have came from married parents, some of y'all didn't, or whatever else, but a lot of us were not planned. You know what I'm saying? Your mom got pregnant with you, and it was not planned, but they had you. That's just it. We got to get past this whole thing of being like people just being able to just have kids and shit like that. We need to promote abstinence in our society. We need to promote self-sterilization, just not have kids. People are not serious about having kids and raising them and taking care of them and everything. Also, like I've said before, having a bunch of kids is rich privilege. It is a privilege for the rich. It is not something for a bunch of regular ass people to be having a bunch of kids. Because
regular ass can't afford kids.
Raising a child is fucking expensive. It can be close to $1,500 a month to raise a child. And some of y'all have multiple children by multiple people. Now, I really don't want to get on the people who already have kids right now. You know what I'm saying? I really want to get on the people who are choosing to have kids right now. In this economy, under this presidency, in this world that we live in right now, you're going to choose to have a child and finance a child. This is basically what you're doing, because you're going to be paying for this child for fucking 19 plus years. Because even when a child becomes an adult, whatever, you may still be under taking care of that child. You know what I'm saying? And also, you're legally responsible for that child. So some of y'all who don't even want to get a dog, which is crazy to me, though, because some of y'all men and women out there who are having children, you wouldn't even take care of a dog for the next 10 years. I think that's what some of y'all should go ahead and do instead of having a child. If you wouldn't go get a dog and take care of a dog and pay for a dog and house a dog and make sure it's got food and water and keep it alive and walk it and everything for the next 10 years. Now, how the fuck do y'all feel like y'all gonna go ahead and have a child? Some of y'all don't have the patience for a dog. This is the reason why I think that really should be promoted in our society, that we need to go ahead and have commercials for self-sterilization, people wearing protection, people just abstaining altogether and not having sex because we're just having kids and not taking care of them, men and women. So I invite all of you to go check out those episodes. Go check out the episode Oops Babies and the episode 3 Things I Could Do Without, where I talk about these things, whatever else. But like I said, I don't understand that either. And the kids are always the victims in case. Either you can't afford to take care of them, the kid's going to grow up poor, because a lot of these people who are having kids, you don't have $2,000 in the bank. You don't have $2,000 in savings, but yet you're just going to bring a kid into a situation which I don't understand. Some of y'all are not mentally and emotionally stable enough because you still have childhood trauma and issues and everything to have a child. I don't understand that either. Some of you wouldn't be responsible enough to have a dog, but yet you're going to be financially and legally responsible for a whole life form, a whole, a child is going to grow into be an adult. You're going to affect them. Make better decisions. Like he says in this clip, whatever else, y'all end up sometimes using this child against the mother of your child or against the father of your child and everything else. And who loses in all of this? The child.
Every time.
And not to try to really connect this too much to the last clip that I played, we were talking about pro-choice and pro-life, because I'm not really for either one of those. Like I said, my stance has always been people should learn to promote masturbation and self-sterilization, because y'all don't need to have kids. People cannot afford them. You're not in a thousandaire club. You cannot afford no child. And like I said before, in the United States of America, we have like a top 3. We have billionaires, millionaires, and thousandaires. Thousandaires are making 6 figures. And if you're making, over 6 figures, whatever else you're doing good, you can probably afford to raise a child. But children are fucking expensive. It costs 6 figures to raise a child to 19.
It costs 6 figures to raise a child.
What's going on and everything else and what's going on. By the time that child is from birth to 19, you spent 6 figures on a child. So I don't even understand that when people are not even thinking enough of that to be like, okay, you're just making kids.
We listen, but we don't judge. Yes, I had my first child at 13. I got pregnant at 13. Then I had another one at 15. Then popped another one at 16. Then 17. Then 18. 19, and so on. Yes, I have 7 kids. I'm not ashamed of it. What? 7 different men, and I'm currently pregnant right now with my 8th child.
Wait! No, we're not. No.
And that's by my food stamp plug. That helps me get $3,000 a month.
I beg your finest pardon.
That's crazy enough itself, ladies and gentlemen, that you have women out here like this woman who had 7 kids by the age of 20 by 7 different men. Now, she mentioned she started having kids at 13, then at 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, and one on the way right now. Now, from the ages of 13 to 18, like, you couldn't consent. So I want to really know, where was your parents and what was the situation with that? Because at age 13, 15, 16, 17, you can't consent. And these are all different men that you had a child with. Where's your parents? Where's the family structure? Who are your parental guardians? Like, what the fuck is going on with that situation?
Exactly. What's going on?
You know what I'm saying? Like, something was going on with that. But at the point where you turn 19 and 20 and, you know, you're about to be 21 or whatever else, you got one on the way and all type of shit. Like, you're a grown adult at this point. You already got fucking 6 kids before the last one you just had. And now you got another one on the way. Like, that shit doesn't make any sense to me. And then because your food stamp plug is getting you $3,000 a month, it's like, that's a dumbass reason to just keep bringing life into this world. And this is what I'm saying with the last one that I was talking about, where I was talking people taking fucking kids or whatever. These are lives. Each one of these children are lives. They are people. You know what I'm saying? You don't want them. Apparently, you just keep having more of them. And I really, for the life of me, don't fucking understand this shit. It's like I said, the earlier ones, the ones when you started having kids at 13, like, apparently there's some sort of you not being protected by your family or your guardians or your family structure, whatever is going on there. You couldn't consent, something happened to you, whatever else. I don't know how. At 13, you had one, and then another one at 15, 16, and 17, and then you had one at 18 and 19 and 20. Like, I don't even understand why this process here. Because your first 4 of them sound like sexual assault. You couldn't consent, something happened to you, whatever else. We can all understand that shit. What the fuck happened with your family structure? Who was not there to protect you? What is going on with that shit?
Where are they at?
For you at 18, 19, and 20 to be like, oh, you're going to have 3 more and one on the way. And this shit happens. This shit happens in the black neighborhood. This shit happens in other people's neighborhoods too. But I'm saying this shit happens. Where you just bring
the black community.
The first one she had at 13, she got 8. I mean, you know what I'm saying, 6 brothers and one on the way, or 6 sisters and brothers, one on the fucking way, by a bunch of men who knocked you up and didn't give a fuck about you. Like, this shit's crazy. This is insanity. Stop having kids. This is the reason why I'm so for sterilization. And I'm encouraging people at this point for self-sterilization, that you will come to your senses and realize you don't really want kids. You're not going to take care of kids. You can't afford to have kids. It's a luxury of the rich.
Get a fucking vasectomy.
I mean, taking care of a kid for 19 years is fucking expensive. You are legally responsible for a child for 18 of those years. And it's just like, I for the life of me, I don't understand why we go through this shit. You know what I'm saying? I would hope that people would decide to not have kids before we start making laws saying you can't have kids. Because I'm not going to feel bad when the laws turn around and say people just can't have kids because you're a burden on society, because you're going to have a bunch of kids that you can't take care of and stuff like that, and that other people have to take care of.
Government assistance.
Somewhere, somebody has to house that child. They're going to be in the system at some point. They're going to be out here creating havoc because they grew up in a household where, okay, all your brothers and sisters got different, you know what I'm saying, daddies and shit like that. You can't possibly give a fuck about all your kids when you're like, fuck it, I'm going to have one more and another one every fucking year of your life since you were 15.
Who's really taking care of them?
You got to start pushing self-sterilization in society. You got to start pushing abstinence in society. It has to be something that we're marketing because we'll hard just having kids. It shouldn't. I mean, I hope people get that shit together before they start making laws where you can't just have the right to have kids. A lot of people shouldn't. They shouldn't.
Man, make a law.
Something's got to change. But ladies and gentlemen, to kind of tie all of that together from the last clips that I've been playing, we talk about pro-life versus pro-choice and things like that, of that matter. When you make the choice to say, look, I'm not going to go ahead and have an abortion, you had a child that you don't want, and the woman said, okay, there are safe haven laws where you can go ahead and drop off a child. Cool. You decided that you are not in a position to have this child, whatever it is. Why does clarity come afterward? Why do both men and women, for some reason, get post-nut clarity where you figure out after you got pregnant and you have this child, you're like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe I'm not ready to be a father. I'm not ready to be a mother. But yeah, somehow you go through with having the child and then you're like, oh, I'm just going to leave it here or whatever it may be. That's just insane. Like, I'm not saying that, you know, abortion is the way to go or whatever else, but I'm also not saying that people having children is the way to go either. Because almost all of us are a bunch of oops babies. None of us are dealing with Planned Parenthood. None of us are dealing with the fact that none of that. You know what I'm saying? None of us are the result of our parents being like, we're going to plan to have this child and give them this opportunity. Knowing that you grew up and like your parents provided for you and had everything. A lot of us are not dealing with it. A lot of us parents were like, oops, okay, we're pregnant now. Let's have this child and deal with it.
That's some dumbass
And that's got to stop too, because maybe you turned out right, maybe you didn't. We're not going to be logical adults and be like, okay, if you want to have kids, you're going to have to get somebody which is stable, and both of you have to be dedicated to raising this child together. Made this child, you're going to raise this child together. And it has to be somebody that your child's going to grow up and know that these two people are my parents. They're going to provide for me. They're going to provide stability for me, provide for me financially. They're going to be responsible for me, and all of those types of things. And not just when the man or the woman feels like, oh, well, this is getting too much for me. I can't do this or whatever else. You made the decision to lay down and make this child or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You need to be responsible for stuff. And since a lot of people in this day and age, you are not going to be responsible for type of stuff. A lot of people are just thinking about getting off and having sex or whatever else. To turn off your genitals by way of self-sterilization. Get yourself a vasectomy. Men, get yourself a vasectomy. Men, get yourself a fucking vasectomy. What the fuck are you having kids for?
Get a damn vasectomy.
Expensive, time consuming, and you're legally responsible for 18 fucking years. Women, same thing. Go ahead and get your tubes tied. What are you having kids for? Like, get that shit done.
I seen a black woman make a post, a tweet, whatever it was, talking about Jordan Peele and Childish Gambino make projects about black people and black struggles and go home to a white wife. It's so many layers I can touch on about this, but let's just touch on the basic layers. Jordan Peele and Childish Gambino are some weird ass black dudes. They are. Have you seen Childish Gambino and Jordan Peele before they got famous? A black woman would talk to them like straight up. And why black women only get mad when the brother got money and date outside his race? He don't even got to be disrespectful. It's only when he got money. I never seen a black woman get mad about a white woman dating a broke black dude. They say thank you for taking them off our hands because we don't need no broke man. Which you shouldn't. You shouldn't need a broke man. Nobody need a broke man. But when you see people like Jordan Peele, Childish Gambino, like people that look like Shamit Moore, and like when you see people that look like them people, like those, they probably try to talk to black women first. I'm not saying disrespect black women at all, but black women weren't gonna talk to them. Y'all know y'all wasn't. Like black women definitely wouldn't talk to Shamit Moore still because he just weird, but like Childish Gambino and Jordan Peele, they probably got a more of a chance, but they wouldn't still be the black women first choice. For example, black women, go find a black man that's playing a Nintendo Switch or a Nintendo game in public with a Deadpool hoodie on. Go talk to him. That man will love you with all of his heart.
That part.
Facts, ladies and gentlemen. This man's talking about weird black men who end up being with white women. He's talking about Jordan Peele. He's very famous. He's very famous. He's done TV shows. He's done movies and everything else like that. The guy's a very funny guy. He also talking about Danny Glover, also known as Childish Gambino. He's made music. He's also done stand-up. This man has also done fucking TV shows and movies. Fucking comedic genius. But both of them are weird-ass black men. Who everybody is now, black women, I should say, are basically getting on him about them marrying white women. But like, what the fuck did you expect? Like he said, like, people are not checking for weird black men. Like,
hell no.
Whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying, weird black men are into, there's a lot of black women are going to be like, we're not into that type of shit. They're not checking for them. They don't like them until they get rich, start making money, and then next thing you know, they marry out of their race. And by out of their race, I mean somebody white. Now, me personally, I'm not going to get on here and advocate for black people to date outside of their race. By outside of their race, I mean black-white relationships. I'm not on here to advocate any of that, but I do understand that there are times when there are weird black men and weird black women, you know what I'm saying? Black men and black women are not checking for. They're just not looking for them. They think they weird. Y'all into stuff they don't like. Like you mentioned with Deadpool hoodie and Nintendo Switch or anime or whatever the fuck y'all consider weird black people to be into. Y'all not checking for them. But the second they get money and get rich and they start doing well for themselves and they date outside their race and all of a sudden they'll sell out while you with that white woman.
Exactly.
Y'all wasn't going to date the men anyway. One of the examples that he didn't bring up in this clip was Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan, you know, there's been stories of how before he became like real famous and everything else, he was an awkward, weird, nerdy kind of black dude. And, you know, people were not checking for him and stuff like that. But then when he started to make movies, get money, you know what I'm saying? This man been working out, he's in shape and everything else. Now all of a sudden he's considered an eligible black bachelor and like women like him now. But he was like a nerdy, weird, horny kind of, you know, black dude. But like women like him now. But if he were to, to the best of my knowledge, he's not with a white woman. But if he were to get with a white woman, they could say, oh, if he sold out, he went and got himself a white woman. But
and money on change
y'all
everything,
wasn't checking for him before. And we got to do something about that, you know, where, you know, if you're not going to pay attention to black, not going to pay attention to black women because they are nerdy, weird, whatever it may be. When these people become popular, when they get money, when they become famous, whatever it may be, y'all can't switch up and be like, oh, you dating outside your race now, and all of a sudden you will sell out, you don't fuck with black women and everything else. Y'all wasn't fucking with them before. Then before Jordan Peele got married to that white woman, y'all could have been scooped him up. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Danny Glover, Childish Gambino. Y'all could have been scooped him up, but you weren't going to.
He's still weird.
Y'all was like, fuck it. Well, this happens time and time again with so-called weird black men, weird black women, or whatever else, that as soon as they date outside of their race or whatever else, everybody's like, oh, I'm going to sell out your pool and everything else. But I'm pretty sure at this point that wasn't considered attention. Y'all wasn't checking for them to begin with. Y'all wasn't looking for them. Y'all wasn't none of that shit. Wait till they get their money right and everything else. Now it's like, oh, okay, now you dating that person. Why y'all wait till they get money? Weird. I'll be in the one that's being. But there's more, ladies and gentlemen.
That is my biggest fear. To imagine my baby girl having a life beat out of her with a closed by an adult.
And most of us would be in jail.
She's herself.
Yeah.
Going, where's my superhero?
Yeah, we'd be in jail.
It's my dad.
Yeah.
God don't step in then? A child? Tears? Pissing themselves? God don't step in. That's bullshit. I remember I read an article about a little girl who was going to Sunday school, and she would walk back from Sunday school home in New York. The girl went missing for several days. Eventually, they found her body, ready to be killed. While she was coming home from Sunday school. If it had been an adult coming home from Sunday school, okay, but at least an adult has a fighting chance.
Right.
But a child from Sunday school, God don't go, I give men free will, but nah, not on this one. Even the mafia goes, no women, no kids. The mafia has a code. God don't. And the only thing you can leave me with is they'll be dealt with. You won't see it. You don't know for sure, but they'll be dealt with. Because that's what the book says. That's garbage, man. That's garbage.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Aries Spears, a well-known actor and comedian. He was speaking on his podcast, and he was basically talking about how, talking about the defenseless. And I think people need to think and use logic and answer the question of where is God when horrible things are happening to the defenseless. You know, he gives the example, what he was talking about the girl coming home from Sunday school. This young girl is strangled, assaulted, murdered, body buried and everything else. Where was God to defend her? Where was God to stop this?
Where the fuck
it's
was
not
all
just
God?
that situation. There are millions of situations going on in the world right now where there are defenseless people who had nothing to do with anything and something horrible happens to them. And yes, you can't seem to explain to a person who is a religious person, not just a Christian person, but a religious person in general, where was your God when this was going on?
Are you quoting Christian?
Where? Now, we have in the black community expression that we say, which is God is good all the time. And I don't think any of us stop and think at all what we're saying. God is good all the time.
All the time, though?
How?
Be fucking for real.
Stuff is always fucking happening to look like us. And people who come around us. And then people, other people of other races and things like that. Stuff
For
is always
400 fucking
happening.
years.
But when things are constantly happening to defenseless people who had nothing to do with anything, who can't even defend themselves, and horrible shit like that happens, like the girl coming home from Sunday school or whatever else, like, where is y'all God in this thing? Because we know there's a story of the 3 black girls that got murdered in a church. There's a story of that white shooter who went inside a church and shot up 8 people. People who just was at a church and they walked in and shot people who got shot up in a movie theater.
Where the fuck was y'all
There's a war
guys?
going on right now in the Middle East, and there are people who have absolutely nothing to do with anything. They're getting their buildings and shit bombed. There are a whole lot of collateral damages. People who have nothing to do with any of this war, and they're losing their children. They're climbing through the rubble and finding arms and legs of their children, of their wives, of their auntie, women who can't find their husbands because they got killed. Like, where the fuck is y'all God when, you know what I'm saying, horrible things are happening to the defenseless? Like, I really need religious people to start using it. Because some of y'all will pray 5 times a day, talk about how great God is and everything else. Horrible shit going on in the real world. Some of y'all can't wait to go to church on Sunday. Some of y'all, whatever it may be.
And for what?
But I just think that a lot of that shit is devoid of logic. Logic is something that needs to be taught.
Makes no
instead
fucking
of religion.
sense.
It needs to be taught. I'm not telling y'all not to believe in God or have y'all a relationship with any type of spirituality or anything, but I need y'all to think and use logic and be like,
And make it make
basically,
sense.
where is your God when things are happening? Because I know one of the questions that black people ask all the time is like, we're looking at 300 fucking years of, you know what I'm saying, slavery, and then, you know what I'm saying, 100 plus years of segregation and Jim Crow segregation, all types of things that have happened to black people, whatever, specifically for us, but our 400 years of oppression that happened to us and everything else, where was God? We ask that question all the time. And of course, people who are hardcore religionists would just be like, oh, well, he was there with you and this is all part of God's plan, blah, blah, blah. I really need y'all
Get
to
the fuck out of here.
because y'all, it just doesn't make any fucking sense that the assaults that happens to women and children and the murders of men that happen out here and things like that and war and people starving to death and things like this can't be the part of the plan. That makes no fucking sense.
The stupid
People
ass
don't want to
plan.
use logic. People don't want to think outside of their stupid bubble or box of, you know what I'm saying, religious quotes and things like that. I need people to think. Because instances like what happened in the story that Ari Spears was talking about happens every day in America. That's happening to a child, to a woman. That's happening to men. That's happening to people overseas in the Middle East, everywhere. That shit is fucking happening. Where is y'all God at? Couldn't step in or nothing to stop any of that shit. Like, I just really feel like I don't know what's the disconnect that happens when people start believing in particular religions or whatever it may be, whatever you're believing in. But once y'all get to a certain point, y'all are just like, no matter what horrible things are happening in the real world and in reality, y'all are disconnected from that. And y'all start thinking that, okay, well, there has to be a reason why God doesn't care about that shit. He's just like, oh, that's part of his plan. He works in mysterious ways, or you won't see it. It'll come back around and happen
All that
to him, the
dumbass
person
shit.
who did the assault and all this type of shit. It's stupid. It's really stupid. We live in the real world. Real shit is happening. And at some point, regardless of what religion you subscribe to, you're going to have to realize that's a story that was told. It has zero connection or bearing on what's going on in the real world and real reality. Your religious books and texts and everything else are about as relevant to the real world as comic books. I need y'all to understand. Because it's like you ain't never seen a real Spider-Man or a real Thor or a real Incredible Hulk or whatever else. Like, anybody talking about that shit would be like, oh, you meant movies. You meant some sort of a realm of fantasy, but not in the real world. Because that's not in the real world. That's not real shit that actually happens. Nobody's going to come save you. Nobody's going to fix any of this shit. It's on us. People, human beings, humanity. I think that we really need to start having these discussions with people. And if people are so locked in mentally to this idea that they believe in this God who doesn't do anything for anybody when the defenseless are being harmed and murdered and everything else, then you need to understand these people are mentally ill and there's nothing you can do for them. They are locked into their fantasy. Like a person who believes in the characters in the comic. Y'all are not living in the real world. Are not living in reality. In the real world and reality, horrible things happen and you look around and who's there? Not your God. Not your spiritual savior. And just to bring this to logic, if horrible things happen in your household, let's say you got a lot of people in your household, okay, your family lives in you live with your family and everything else, you got a lot of people in your household and everything else. If something happens to one member of the household and the rest of the household doesn't do anything, but they know about it or whatever else, you would look and be like, you know what I'm saying? You got a mom and dad, your auntie stay with y'all, and you're a person with 3 brothers in the household and everything. If something happens to one of the brothers in the household, you would look and be like, we all know about this, yet y'all didn't do anything about this. Something horrible happened to one of my brothers, and yet my mom, my dad, my auntie who stays with us, and my 3 brothers are here, like, y'all be like, what the fuck? So people can't seem to even bring that into that context, that like something happened to one of your family members in your household, in your family. If nobody did anything about it, you will be fucking pissed. Like, what the fuck? Nobody was here to help out and do anything. Y'all was here when this shit was going on. Like, what are y'all gonna do about it? But yet y'all believe in some God who's supposed to be all powerful, omnipotent, knows about everything, can be everywhere, and has all these abilities and these powers and everything, but doesn't have the ability to stop children dying.
Make that make sense.
It doesn't have the power to stop women from getting sexually assaulted. It doesn't have the power to stop wars where innocent people are dying. I really feel like logic needs to be taught before anything else. People just get indoctrinated into beliefs and believe all sorts of things, and that y'all don't have logic. You need logic. You need to look at your scriptures, your books, and all that kind of stuff, and look at it and understand it logically. Does this make sense? No, it doesn't. It's a story. It's just a story.
Cancer is when one mutated gene decides to prioritize itself over the wellness of the entire body, right? Over the wellness of the entire host. This one gene, this one mutated gene, this one mutated cell literally tells all the other parts of the body that all of you guys are Otis and ain't nobody come here to see you. Right? So now this mutated cell begins to abnormally grow, right? At accelerated rates to the point where it starts to metastasize, right? Or spread throughout the entire body, affecting every other part from them being able to do what they're supposed to do. But cancer does not care because, again, cancer is prioritizing itself. It's prioritizing itself. And it will spread and overgrow to the point where it will start to kill its host. It will start to kill itself. But cancer doesn't care because cancer is still prioritizing themselves. Okay? So now when the host dies, because cancer has decided to overspread so much to the point where the host can't do nothing anymore. And cancer needs a host in order for it to still continue to grow. And so now cancer realizes that they're killing themselves, but cancer doesn't care because cancer's entire goal from the beginning was to make sure that they prioritized themselves. So if the host dies and cancer dies along with it, it's okay to cancer because cancer's entire job was to prioritize itself. And you're gonna tell me that that's not white people? Y'all gonna tell me that that's not white people? Okay. Also, cancer doesn't give a fuck about it dying as long as it knows that it took everything else around with it before it goes down. Exactly. Just saying.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this woman has accurately described white people as cancer. Absolutely. She describes in many ways that white people are like a cancer because white people are made of mutated genes. Whiteness is a mutation. I have talked about that in previous podcasts too, where I've described, and I've talked about how scientifically white people mutated genes are the SLC24A5 gene mutation, that whiteness is tation. It is albinism. It is not normal. It is not supposed to be. It's not even supposed to exist. These mutations which should have been absorbed through remixing and getting back into the normal spread of genes. But, this aberration has been allowed to thrive and, survive and everything else. But that doesn't keep from the fact that these are abnormal mutated genes that have been isolated and have survived. So much like cancer, these mutated genes have multiplied and spread disease, and they have prioritized just themselves and basically their own well-being, and basically
just like cancer.
So, ladies and gentlemen, to describe it, all the people of color in the world were considered a brown body. White people would be the cancer that is infecting the body worldwide, spreading. She's absolutely right in describing them as a cancer. Now, for me, I will say this. In previous podcasts, I have described them as like an alien invasion. While I watch movies about alien invasions, white people have been like an alien onto all of the natural citizens of the earth, and out of all the people who are native indigenous to the planet. All the native people have operated the same way that you see an alien invasion in the movie. bunch of people showed up to a country, a land, and they have been people who look strangest. They are without melanin. They have, recessive features. They have showed up with technology that native people didn't have. They
Just
have
like aliens.
guns or whatever, cannons and shit. So they showed up with superior technology, and they have came there to basically take the resources, take the people, do whatever they're going to do. In the same way that in alien invasion work, aliens show up. They're a bunch of different looking people, speak the same language. They don't care about the land or the people or anything else. They're there to go and rape and pillage and take whatever the fuck they want to take or whatever else and colonize and whatever they're going to do. So I have often described them in that manner, that they are kind of like an alien invasion. She has described them as, in a medical sense, of them being a cancer. And that is very accurate. That when you're a group of people who are made up of mutated genes, that you have basically prioritized yourself over everything else, and you have basically multiplied and spread across the world, spreading diseases and everything else, and not just physical disease, psychological and like that too, and your pathology,
Killing the world body.
pathology, all that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? You are basically killing the host. Is all people of
The
color
cancer
being
of the
around
planet.
body. You are basically killing the host. And like cancer, you can't survive without the host. Historically, you have never been able to survive without the host. You've had black people leave Africa, go into Europe, and we brought you out of the Dark Ages. We've always brought in medicine and technology. We've always done all of that sort of thing.
Y'all was living in y'all's filth.
I think a lot of people don't seem to know that the
Living with
Moors,
animals.
North Africans, have ruled over Europe for 700 fucking years. And they have made Europe great. And what did they do with the knowledge and everything we brought in there? We brought in running water, we brought in literature and education and medicines and things like that. They decided to conquer the fucking world with it. They weren't grateful. They decided to conquer the fucking world with it. So much like cancer, you want to kill the host by prioritizing just yourself. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been my show. I'm going to go back over a few things, ladies and gentlemen, because a few things need to be said over again, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get it. Ladies and gentlemen, there have been very large hand-sized whites-only stickers being applied to businesses in East Austin. And these business stickers have an official sticker on it from the city logo. It says maximum 5 colored people. Make sure to say colored people. And on there has a subtext of saying authorized by the Austin Contemporary Park Restoration. They're blaming this on vandals. They're saying out of nowhere, people are just putting these stickers up. These are large stickers. These are not like little stickers.
Some big ass stickers.
These are big, large, hand-sized stickers. Somebody stood there and carefully applied it and everything else. Somebody saw that shit. They didn't care. It was probably most likely somebody white. You know what I'm saying? And I really feel like if this is going to be some sort of silly game of them putting up stickers and random signs and here, there, and white people being like, oh, we don't know how these signs got up and everything else. Stop playing. We already know that the president was saying that, okay, that we want to bring back segregation and everything else.
Put the fucking signs
We already said, we're cool with that. Put up the fucking signs so we know where not to go. Because if we see a business with no whites only sign, we know that's different than the whites only signs. The businesses that have the whites only sign. We just want y'all to put the signs up and stop playing.
Put
That's
the
all.
fucking signs up.
Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, Blue Dress Lady was conducting a street interview with a lady who was referred to as Bronx, New York lady. They were having basically back and forth civil discourse about pro-choice versus pro-life. And basically, it went left because she was rage baiting her and everything else. The Blue Dress Lady was rage baiting her and she got socked in the face by a Bronx, New York lady. And like I said, some people, they're either used to talking shit online on their own lives, they're used to being in the comment section talking reckless, or maybe they skated across life, you know what I'm saying, for so long without anybody actually putting hands on them. And this is an instance where she was saying the wrong thing or is being hostile or whatever it may be, but it came to her opinions or whatever and got socked in the fucking face. I don't feel sorry for her. Nobody else feels sorry for her. But I will say that there are a lot of people, and I had mentioned our president and the vice president. There are a lot of people out there. You could tell they never got socked in their shit. They talk crazy because they feel like they're protected. And it's happened sometimes at your job. You may feel somebody like, hey, I got a position over you, I can fire you, or because we're at this job with cameras and everybody's standing around, or whatever it may be. Some people, they feel like they can talk any way they want to you, whatever else, and they're like, oh, you ain't gonna do nothing because we're here, we're public, we're cameras, whatever it may be. People got to learn to watch their fucking mouth. Because, like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all president is probably one of those people who never got socked in the fucking face. It would talk the way he does. Y'all vice president definitely is the type of person who feels like he never got socked in the fucking face.
Exactly.
Because, you know, the way he talks and tries to talk tough, calling people peasants and everything else, he's probably never got punched in this shit. Because you would react different if, you know what I'm saying, you know somebody put hands on you could be in a fucking fight. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, I talked about stop having kids for nothing. I talked about how, you know, kids are expensive. Kids are also it's something for the rich people. You know what I'm saying? It's rich privilege and everything else in this day and age with this economy under this presidency. And even before this presidency, like, people cannot afford to finance a child for 19. It's ridiculous. Like,
Kids are expensive.
Like, be fucking for real. I also invited y'all to go back and check my episodes, Oops Babies, and 3 Things I Can Do Without. Go check out my podcast for that. I talked about that. About basically men and women just having kids and not being able to take care of them, things like that. Also go check out my episode on rich privilege, where I also talked about this too, because people were getting on Cam Newton about how he's got multiple kids with multiple baby mamas. This man has $78 million. You know what I'm saying? That is rich privilege. You can afford to take care of those kids. People like Nick Cannon. People like y'all want to be vice president, Elon Musk. You know what I'm saying? They have rich privilege. They can afford to have 12 fucking kids or whatever else. Do I agree with people have multiple kids but multiple baby mamas? No. But they can afford to take care of all of that shit. You, who don't have $2,000 in your bank account, you who don't have $2,000 in your savings, you can't afford that shit. You're going to make kids you can't take care of, and somehow you're going to be getting assistance from somebody else to do that. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, I talked about the woman who has 7 kids by 7 different baby daddies. And this is not a grown adult who was doing this. At a certain point, she was talking about ages 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, and she's got one on the way. Now, like I said, for her, when her underage years, from age 13 to 18 or whatever else, like, you can't consent. I don't know what your situation was at your home life or whatever. Your legal guardian, whoever was responsible for you, they failed you. But I think as an adult, if you're having these kids underage because something happened to you or whatever else, at age 19, 20, and 21, about to have another kid on the way, baby number 8 or whatever else, that's on you at that point. And this shit has got to stop happening too. Her excuse for having an 8th child, well, she's having one with her food stamp plug for $3,000.
Oh, that ghetto ass
Stupid shit. Shit's got to stop. Like, we really got to start promoting abstinence in society. People got to practice abstinence. People got to practice.
Gotta start sterilizing motherfuckers.
Masturbation. People got to be more concerned about keeping it in the pants, keeping their legs closed and shit like that. Also, sterilization. People got to start going ahead and just sterilize themselves. What are we having these kids for? If you're not going to go all the way with this parenting shit and be like, oh, we're definitely going to take care of these kids and be there 100% for them, make sure that you can actually afford to take care of these kids. You're going to be legally responsible for them. You're going to be emotionally present for these kids, do everything you're supposed to be doing for 19 plus years. Don't fucking do it. Don't do it. Just don't have fucking kids. Instead of having kids being like, well, now I'm pregnant. I guess we're just going to have to figure it out as we go. It's stupid. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about Danny Glover, a.k.a. Childish Gambino, and Jordan Peele. We talked about how some of these people, like Michael B. Jordan, were considered basically weird niggas. Basically, like when we're not checking for them or whatever else, they're not into them or whatever. And for these men, they had basically grew up in the industry, got money, got rich, started doing things and everything else, and they ended up either dating or marrying white women and everything else. Now they're considered sellouts because they're not married to a black woman. It's just like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Y'all considered them to be weird, and they're not your type and all that type. They were corny, nerdy ass dudes. You know, they're the same dudes now that they got money. They're the same dudes now that they're getting deals. You know what I'm saying?
Mad because they got money now.
They're out here doing movies and TV shows and being producers and directors. They're the same nerdy, corny dude. You just mad because now he got money and he got himself white. Like I said, I'm not trying to endorse anybody dating outside their race, but I completely understand these situations because it does happen to nerdy, corny white women. Black women and nerdy, corny black men. There are people just not checking for you until you get successful, until you make money, until you start looking to date outside your race, because that's where
until you get that money.
I understand it. I'm not promoting it, but I understand it. I get it. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, Ari Spears, famous comedian, actor, he was on his podcast talking about basically we all need to use logic and to think about where was God when horrible things are happening to the defenseless. Where is your God when things happen to the defenseless? Incredibly horrible things happening to people all the time, especially to defenseless children. There are people who have nothing to do with anything. They are getting shot at. They're getting fucking sexually assaulted. Everything. There's war going on in the Middle East. There are defenseless people who had nothing to do with anything, constantly going through some shit and getting strangled and everything else. Where is your God on this? I really want to know why, you know what I'm saying, people do not teach logic over spirituality. I don't understand that shit. Why are we being indoctrinated into that instead of spirituality? Why are we getting indoctrinated into spirituality instead of logic? Why don't we teach logic? Logically, none of that fucking makes any sense. Next thing, ladies and gentlemen, we talked about how white people are basically being described as a cancer. I think it's a very accurate description because they move and they act like a parasite. They behave like a cancer. They do the exact same shit as that. I think that I don't know how we'd be able to describe that to them and explain that to them and be like, hey, y'all realize y'all move and act the same way as a parasite. Y'all act the same way as a fucking cancer. Y'all historically have always been doing it. Not you, the individual, but collectively, y'all have definitely behaved like a cancer. Like y'all prioritize yourselves and y'all at the expense of everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And you don't care if you end up dying in the process or your people getting in the process. Y'all don't care. You prioritize everything, you know what I'm saying, for yourself above anything else. Ladies and gentlemen, I have one more thing for y'all, ladies and gentlemen.
And I don't know who need to hear this, but if you like to argue, be a lawyer. If you text back paragraphs, be an author. If you always trying to tell somebody what to do, be a director. If you stay booked and busy, be a CEO. If you take bomb pics of your friends, be a photographer. If you love spilling tea and gossiping, be a podcast host. If you got main character energy, be an actor. If you love giving advice, be a life coach. If you always fixing drama, be a therapist. If you always the first to do something, be an innovator. If you always remixing stuff and getting shit mixed up, be a DJ. If you always planning trips, be a travel agent. If you always loud as fuck and you just love being loud, be a hype man. People get paid to do this, be a hype man. If you got a crazy memory, be a historian. If you stay correct in grammar, talking about asterisk, there, be a fucking editor. If you always decorating, be an interior designer. If you love attention, be an influencer. If you stay cooking, be a private chef. If you love to talk and you just talk too damn much, be a radio host. If you love being nosy, be an investigator. And in my favorite one, if you hate working for people, be an entrepreneur. All right, bye.
So last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say this. Go out there, make money, and make a living off the thing that you do naturally with your natural ability. She gave you a whole list of those type of things like that, but go get paid for the thing that you do naturally. You know what I'm saying? If you like to argue, be a fucking lawyer. You know what I'm saying? If you always correct somebody's grammar and the way somebody's writing some shit, go be an editor. Whatever it is that you doing naturally anyways, go make some money off of that type of shit. There's a job out there. Somebody should be paying you for what you're doing. If you always there for somebody and you helping somebody through shit, go become a fucking counselor. There's money in all that type of shit. I don't understand why anybody's sitting out here broke like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do or whatever.
Go get paid.
Unhappy in the wrong industry or whatever else. You'll be so much happier if you go ahead and make money off the things that you already do.
Start charging people.
You know what I'm saying? Just stop and think about all the things that you do naturally anyways and go make that money. For real. She gave you a list of things right there. And there's a list of things that go on and on and on. But absolutely. Go make money off of the things that you do naturally anyways. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that has been my show. Feel free to contact me.
The Rant Room.
MF Doom. Ladies and gentlemen, if you go check out my
The Rant Room.
And to the bitches that's sleeping on me, I hope you don't wake up. Okay. For a very long time. Mm-hmm.